Alright, so after some technical difficulties, we are live here for this week's edition of NASCAR Talk, and I'm being joined. I'll go from left to right. It may not be left to right on the stream that you guys are watching, but we got Charles Belding,
Hello.
JT Bryant,
Oh, hello.
Michael Norman, who is muted. Okay. Nathan Hudson.
Hold on,
Yay!
please. I'm here.
Oh, you are here. Wow, Michael is here. It's a miracle.
Charles muted him.
Alright, and then we got Nathan Hudson.
Yo!
We got Daniel Voiles.
Introducing my new friend, the Blue Hedgehog.
Yay! Don't let Ben see it.
Yo!
Then we got Matt McIntyre.
Hello.
And we got our Sultan of Statistics, Stephen Paul III.
Yes. Okay.
Alright, so, in this edition of NASCAR Talk, we're going to be basically doing two things. One, we're going to be recapping last week's road course race at Sonoma, and then tonight, we are going super speedway racing at Daytona. Hopefully Austin Dillon won't go in the catch fence again. But we're going to be giving you
I bet you about this.
our predictions,
Really sad.
our areas of what we
Hopefully he
expect-
won't.
what you can maybe expect at Daytona and everything. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Let's recap Sonoma, and let's try and get people's opinions here on what they felt of that last lap. There are two different schools of thought of what's going on in that finish between Tony Stewart and Denny Hamlin. The first school of thought is that Denny Hamlin opened the door for Stewart to be able to make the move. He literally handed him an opportunity to be able to get that win. The second school of thought is that Hamlin spent too much time looking in his rearview mirror than he did out the windshield. That's what messed up his entry into turn 11 and allowed Stewart to make the move. Let's go from left to right. Charles, your opinion. Are you going with Theory 1 or Theory 2?
Well, I'm going to go with Theory 2 because Theory 1 is just, I find it to be super silly because, first of all, if Hamlin wanted Tony Stewart to win, he would have been sandbagging the moment he went into second place. He would not have even had to been trying to chase down Stewart. You could tell that he really wanted this win, considering the fact that he's had a lot, he's struggled a lot since winning the 500, and he also really wanted that road course win. So that's my opinion on that.
Okay. JT.
Well, Theory 1 is quite silly, especially considering the fact that some people are saying that NASCAR rigs stuff these days. But
True.
let's just say Hamlin screwed it up entering the turn 11. That opened up the opportunity for Stewart to go to his inside, and next thing you know, we have a great finish, regardless.
All right, Michael, your thoughts on that finish?
So
All
yeah,
right,
Theory
sorry.
2.
Sorry, I was getting talked to about my dad real quick.
Okay.
I personally don't think that Denny Hamlin let him have it. It'd be kind of ridiculous. Plus, that would violate the 100% rule that NASCAR has. And but I personally think he just was just worrying too much in his mirror, overdrove the corner. It happened. You know, it may seem like he let him win, but I personally don't believe that. It's good for Tony Stewart to have finally gotten that win, and at a better racetrack. Was it like 15 years since he won it?
Yeah.
It took forever.
All right, Nathan.
Alright, so this is the only guy that didn't see it live, but I did see it in the highlights afterwards. From where I saw it, I think I can make a third theory. A third theory. I think Denny Hamlin was caught hot dogging. I think he was looking back and thinking, I'm gonna win, and then he didn't, and then he missed his braking. Allowed Tony Stewart open the door, and then he put it. Actually, then Denny Hamlin put himself in that situation of getting him in the wall and letting Tony Stewart win. Which, ironically, Tony Stewart is going to the Hall of Fame off that track. So it sounds a little bit of a conspiracy theory, or I don't know. But honestly, I think Denny Hamlin was caught hot dogging. Intentionally or not, and let Tony Stewart open the door, really overtake him and win the race.
Interesting theory there. Daniel, your thoughts on it?
I would go with theory 2. I think, I think Hamlin was definitely looking too much in his rearview mirror, seeing where Tony Stewart was going to pass, and Smoke ended up dive bombing him in turn 11. So I think, Hamlin already knows he's all but locked up a chase for the championship. Tony just needed to get a victory and get inside the top 30 to be in the chase for the championship. So I think that is what I would say theory 2 on that one.
Okay, Matt, your thoughts?
Well, and I also gotta say theory too, because I think knowing that, especially with what happened up in turn 7, Denny locking the brakes up, kind of knocking Tony wide, and then Stewart, I love the guy, but he has a bit of a temper, so Hamlin was probably looking in the rearview mirror thinking, oh crap, is he going to come up and dump me like he did to Vickers a few years ago? So he was probably thinking, ah, crud. So I got to go with theory 2 on that one.
All right, Steven.
All right. First of all, Tony was killer. I think we all can agree on that one.
Okay, too soon, but
No, but seriously, I think you have to look at it different points of view. Hamlin's never won a road course before, and drivers always want to win at every track. So I definitely didn't think Hamlin wanted to just give Stewart the win. And if you look at it, Stewart did great. I mean, he closed up. Hamlin locked up the brakes. I mean, the race I go back to looking at this was the Kane and Dowd. Galding. I know this is a different situation, but Galding locked up the brakes in turn 3 and slid off, and Haley passed him. It's like the same exact situation. So, he just locked them up and passed them. And the big thing was the caution came out for Stewart. It was kind of terrible because the brake rotor that came out of Johnson's car was completely off the racetrack, and they still threw a caution for him. So I think Gasly kind of rigged into that situation, but Stewart did the rest, won the race fair.
right, I gotta agree with you. I mean, he was good on the restarts. Now, for me, I look at these two conspiracy, these two theories that have been thrown out there, and when I look at them, to me, I'm gonna be like Nathan. I'm gonna go to the third conspiracy, but my third theory is that both of those theories don't even matter. The fact of the matter is, if Tony Stewart had maybe not been able to stick with Hamlin after Hamlin made the move on him out of turn 7, okay, then maybe we can start throwing some conspiracy theories out there. But the fact that Stewart still stuck with him through the S's, we saw last season when Jeff Gordon was running down Carl Edwards. You only need to be 6, 7 car lengths behind heading into turn 11 to be able to put a dive bomb and be able to get to the person in front of you's back bumper. Tony Stewart was definitely within that range. So regardless of whether Hamlin messed up the entrance into turn 11 or not, there's almost an absolute guarantee with Stewart being in the best position he's been in all season to win a race. He was definitely going to try and bump the back bumper of Denny Hamlin, try and push him up there in the turn, and make the move regardless. So whether Hamlin messed up the corner or not, Stewart was definitely going to try the bump and run in turn 11. Whether he would have gotten to the inside and been able to make the pass on him, we're never going to know. But I think the move still would have been made, regardless of what kind of entry Hamlin got into the final turn.
Yeah, all the spotters were saying on the radio, watch out, Stewart's going to dump Hamlin every spot until he said that.
Well, I mean, come on, when you think about it, too, I mean, Hamlin probably knew that was going to be coming, too. You've seen it before now. With if you're within striking range in turn 11, they're going to try and dump you. And Stewart's got more to lose than anybody with the fact that he needed a win to then concentrate and get into the top 30 to get into the chase spot. Let's be honest. This is probably going to be the closest opportunity he's going to have all season.
Yeah, and then Hamlin even admitted they screwed up 11.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and Hamlin moved Stewart out of the way in turn 7, so it would have been just payback anyway.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, because I think that Demi was caught hot dogging, which is basically like didn't act for like a silly buggers for like 10 seconds, and then went wide and got himself in this situation.
Well, the real question is, was the caution that came out a good caution or a bad one? Because it looked pretty terrible on the view on TV.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it was on the racing surface, but how many times do drivers go too wide through that portion of the racetrack?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Probably a rookie.
Yeah, it was they kind like the thing is they did rig it for Stewart to get up the lead, but Stewart finished the deal off. You can't drive the car and rig it.
Right. Right. Those two restarts were key for him to try and make sure he got the jump on both Hamlin and Truex, and he capitalized on both those opportunities. So yeah, from the caution on, it was definitely all Stewart. But I have to agree with you. I do think that where that what was it?
Ring rubber.
Ring rubber. Yeah. Where that was positioned, yeah, that kind of seemed a little strange to me too, because it really wasn't in a racing lane.
Yeah.
You could argue neither was the caution for the rag in turn 1.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
The wreck in turn. What happened in turn 1?
No, rag.
Oh, rag.
Oh, the rag.
Rag,
Yeah,
it was
the rag.
pretty much same deal as the spring rubber. It was in the racing groove, or not the racing groove. It was on the racetrack, but not in the racing groove.
Yeah, the rag's
So pretty much a debris caution.
Yeah, the rag's
pretty much.
guys.
And speaking of that too, I mean, a lot of debris cautions that happen and everything. Not really a lot of cautions for wrecks. We had Michael McDowell. He had electrical issues. You had electrical problem for Clint Boyer. That was pretty much the extent of the, if you can even say, on-track incidents that took place. That surprised anybody that we didn't have more, more carnage as far as beating and banging and cars going off track and whatnot?
Yes.
This might be the first time ever at Sonoma where we had a NASCAR race where no one wrecked or spun.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed like the biggest thing that really happened was Ryan Blaney and I think Casey Mears and all of them. They kind of had their grill pushed in, but that was pretty much it.
I mean, the closest we had to a wreck all race long was when Tony Stewart tried to make a 3 wide in turn 4, and then and almost flew over to the corner. That could have been like a 6-car pileup.
And then maybe we can also throw in the Joe Logano Carl Edwards Dale Jr. 3 wide as well, heading towards 7, but they saved that. So.
Yeah, I mean, at least he didn't. I think this is probably the first ever time I ever watched a NASCAR race fully, and yet there was no wrecking. I was like, oh, what? So then, what's the point?
Yeah, it really surprised me too. Now, let's talk about Tony Stewart. Where does he go from here? He had a great finish a week ago at Kansas. He now ends up having a win at Infineon. We're going to be racing under the lights at Daytona tonight, a track that he has a win at. A couple of wins, actually, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah. If it's not Daytona 500.
And we're heading into the summer months, which I think I said back in February, if we're going to see Stewart come to the forefront and actually do well, this is the time to do it when we head to Indianapolis and Chicago and all these summer tracks. So at this point, we know that Tony Stewart basically just needs consistency now to get into the top 30 in the points, but do we see him now maybe trying and risking it a little bit to try and go for a second, maybe a third win here this season?
If he even gets close.
Well, I think Tony Stewart...
Probably so.
Well, I think
so. Before he's had this section of the summer where he got ridiculously hot after a win at Sonoma.
Oh.
He had several races in a row where he did pretty good. So he's done it before, so I think he can do it again.
If he do it, he's done it before, he'll do it again.
Well, I think Tony Stewart is definitely a better driver than some of the drivers ahead of him points, like Brian Scott, Regan Smith. I think he definitely can run consistently better than them. So I have a lot of confidence in faith that Tony Stewart will make the top 30 points without a problem.
Well, you talked about summer stretch. That was in 2005, 2007. This is 2016. Stewart has.
Yeah, this is 2016.
Yeah, but the only thing is, too, though, you think about it, you could have one of two sides of Tony Stewart now. With the win under his belt, he could be kind of resting back on his laurels, be settling for top 5, top 10 finishes so that he can make it in the top 30, or he can try and step out of the box, try and use strategy, try and be more aggressive to, get bonus points towards the chase to try and maybe get another win.
Be up with the main leaders.
But he may even have to try to top what Kyle did last year.
I found it very interesting, too, because wasn't Sonoma the first track Kyle coming back from injury, and Tony Stewart comes back from injury, and he wins at Sonoma? I thought that was kind of ironic.
Yeah, I was going to about say that as well.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like,
I'm gonna
okay.
bet you right now that Tony Stewart could win the championship if it
I
keeps
don't
up.
think
I
he's
have
gonna
a
win.
feeling he may pull a Kyle Busch.
Yeah, he may pull a
I
Kyle
don't think he's
Busch.
gonna be.
Wait,
Whoa,
Yeah, that was
that's
going to be my
that's a
next
wild
question.
prediction.
That was going to be my next question. Stewart more than likely is going to make the chase. How much of a contender is he going to be?
Not a contender at all.
I would say
I'm gonna say probably the last eight maybe.
He'll be a decent contender if he can keep up his consistent finishes in the top 10,
Yeah,
like he has.
Speaking
like
of
Michael kind of alluded to. It's
I see him
whichever
making
Tony
it to
decides
Daytona.
to show up.
I mean, he's got Bush and Harvick in there as well. So basically, you got 3 out of the 4 without Derpy Patrick in there.
The big is Stuart Hoskins the best equipment as they're doing right now.
Hey?
Yeah, I mean that's another thing that I was hearing was we had that whole spree of Joe Gibbs Racing going to victory lane. Now you've got Kurt Busch winning at Pocono, Stewart winning at Infineon. Is this Stewart Racing's time to come to the forefront?
Well,
Very well be.
Well, this is the last. Well, this is the same theory we came up with Villager Row Racing last year. This is the last time they're racing with Chevrolet before they're moving over to Ford.
Right.
So basically, I would think they're probably going to bring out the best out of the Chevrolet before they go over to Ford. I would think.
Yeah, because they
that
want to
makes sense.
afford that they can contend.
Well, this season, if you look at Stewart House Racing, excluding Danica, they've actually performed pretty well despite not being measured a whole lot because Kevin Harvick, current points leader, even though he only has one win. Kurt Busch, second place in points, even though he only has one. He's actually finished in the top 10 races in a row now. And now Tony Stewart running well recently. So definitely, I think Stewart Haas Racing, I think, could definitely be on the rise.
And let's give credit where credit is due. Danica Patrick actually has had a couple of good runs the last couple of weeks. She had a good run last week at Sonoma as well. So I mean, even though
most definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give the credit where the credit is due. She definitely has been getting better finishes, so I think that's definitely showing. It's definitely a testament to that. Storehouse Racing is definitely getting better. And to be honest with you, now heading into the summer months, I think that you're just going to see them continue to get better.
So basically,
as long as she doesn't do something stupid.
Better finishes. What do you?
But by the way, guys, if you're wondering, the first guy from Hendrick Racing who's on the table isn't Jimmy Johnson.
It's Jason Elliott.
Yeah, it's Elliott in 6th.
Yeah.
And he hasn't even bloody win.
Hopefully,
I actually feel like Hendrick Motorsports has actually kind of underperformed this season because they only have 2 wins this year and they both come from the outside.
You gotta look at the driver list.
I mean, Junior's been close. It's just been scenarios that haven't really worked out for him. I mean, like Pocono. I thought he was actually going to win Pocono. They were saying Kurt Busch was saving, Dale Jr. wasn't, but that gap never closed up. So it was kind of like, okay, that didn't really make sense to me there.
Chase Elliott's gonna win a race before the NBA. I saw that.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
Chase Elliott's going to be due. And by the way, I don't know if everybody knows it, but Josh Wasakuli is actually here with us too. First time on NASCAR Talk. How you doing, Josh?
How you doing, Josh?
Illuminati!
How you doing?
Oh my
You're
God!
there,
Shit.
you're
Oh
there.
God.
All right, so wait, okay, what?
No,
Hey,
no.
what are you doing?
What?
What the heck are you doing?
No, I'm not doing anything.
No, I fell out of the call.
Move on!
Someone said something about Danica running.
Really?
That was me. Danica actually had a good finish last week at Sonoma.
She finished 24th.
Yeah, compared to her other finishes.
I mean, Danica had her best
in the big turn.
of the year.
All right, so let's just real quickly before we head away from Sonoma and then look towards tonight's race at Daytona. What was the biggest surprise driver for you guys as far as their finish at Infineon?
AJ Allmendinger.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that pit
Dinger.
road issue.
Mine. Well, I'm going with Patrick Carpentier.
No, the thing about Pontier, he had no heating, heating whatever for since lap 20, so he was basically driving.
No. It's just because it's nice to see him nice.
Well, I mean,
I was actually really impressed with Kyle Larson because when I think of Kyle Larson, I don't think of a course racer. And the fact that he actually ran well in practice, he ran well in qualifying, and then he followed it up with a good run in the race. Now when we're going to go to Watkins Glen, I'm going to be looking like, okay, what's Larson's chances here? Is he a possible good dark horse pick?
Big shout.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Seth.
Big shout out.
Good surprise. I think probably like the good surprise for me was actually Ryan Newman. Sonoma is not a track that I expected Ryan Newman to run well. As far as bad surprise, Jamie McMurray, who I picked to win last week.
A big shout out to Lupton finishing 35th on the lead lap.
Yay! What a way to make
Another one I'm impressed with is Harvick came from 25th on the grid to 6th.
Oh, yeah, what did you guys think about the fight last week?
All right, so let's jump ahead now to Daytona, which, amazingly enough, I'm actually going to get to watch live as well. I watched Infineon live last week. We don't have satellite here, but I went over to my aunt and uncle's house and watched it. And we're going over there tonight, so I'll be able to watch Daytona. So we ended up seeing in the Xfinity race a pretty good race. Eric Almirola ended up winning that one, but there's been a big thing of people having problems with these cautions coming out on the final lap just before they get to the start-finish line. Now, I think the caution ended up coming out when they were in the middle, right between turns 4 and the middle of the tri-oval for the Xfinity race. Your guys' thoughts? You've got a wreck on the back straightaway, and they throw the caution flag coming out of turn number 4.
Well, my main issue is that they waited so long.
NASCAR was going to let them race back to the line, but I forgot who they said it was. Ryan Ellis, I think they said his name was calling for help on the backstretch, so that's when they called it.
Well, the thing is,
It was because he was dehydrated is why they had to throw the yellow in the first place, which I can totally
It
understand.
wasn't just because he was dehydrated, it was because of the fact
Carbon monoxide poisoning.
no,
Ew.
Well, I don't actually think it had anything to do with Brian Ellis.
yeah.
Apparently, from a NASCAR report on Twitter, NASCAR said they thought it was just cars spinning, but then they saw hard hits, and it's like, we got the caution. But to me, like, here's my thing. You either throw the caution immediately after the wreck starts, like you do every other lap, or you just let them race back. Don't go in between.
Exactly.
Well, here's my thought, okay? It's a 2.5-mile superspeedway, and we've seen that drivers are able to basically stop on the dime, i.e., the Daytona race, I think it was last year, when Eric Almirola won. We saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the back straightaway. He came to a dead stop very, very quickly to avoid that big wreck that took place. So my thought is, if you're going to end up having a wreck on the back straightaway, there's no way that racing back to the line, the drivers aren't going to be able to slow their cars down in time before they get to the exit of turn number 2 and be able to make it around so that way safety trucks can get to those cars that are damaged. It's not going to really affect the outcome on the front straightaway, and the drivers on the front straightaway are definitely going to be able to get themselves slowed down in time before they get to the back straightaway. It's not going to cause any problems for those wrecked cars in the back straightaway.
Mark Martin should have won the
Except
7 days.
for safety concerns.
Who are the safety concerns? Mark Martin should have won the 2007 Daytona 500 then.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, exactly. Out of turn 4, yeah, there you go. There's a perfect example. If it's out of turn 4, if you're going to have a wreck that takes place, just past the start-finish line into turn 1, okay, by all means, throw the caution flag. Don't have them race back to the line, because if somebody's not going to be able to get going out of turn 1, there's going to be less reaction time to be able to slow down. But on the back straightaway, back straightaway, turn 3, turn 4, let them race back to the line. Don't throw the caution.
I mean, to me,
There were 2 wrecks in the 2013 Coke 0400,
Well,
but did that
unfortunately,
Alright.
unfortunately,
Oh, we had a wreck.
fall on deaf ears.
Hold on. the thing about Ellis, he actually finished 15th. He actually got carried from pit road to the exterior. So he didn't get involved in that crash.
Steven, you are awfully quiet. I just want to say that. Like, I can barely hear you.
By the way,
And we
welcome
got
John
John Art
Art.
joining us. Hey, John.
Hello.
Oh, hey, Art.
Okay, okay.
Oh, John Art.
If NASCAR doesn't want them racing back, doesn't want them to race back through that crash on the cooldown lap, then here's what you do. If you go back to the 2010 era in 2012, when we had a crash on the final lap,
Oh, that's the leader. Okay.
what NASCAR made them do was actually make them stop on the backstretch and turn back around. Why not just do that?
Yeah. Exactly. Why not do that?
Did you get enough sleep?
Yeah.
I know. That just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me if there's something there, in that portion of the racetrack, why they don't let them race back. That doesn't make sense to me. But it's NASCAR's ruling, I guess, and quite honestly, I don't understand either. To your point, Charles, why they took so long to throw that caution flag. I mean, that was a good 30 seconds after the wreck had actually happened that they decided to throw it. With a couple hundred feet left to go to the line, why didn't they let them just race it there then?
Yeah, their rulings are gonna have them lose fans in the next few years.
What? Why doesn't it sound like?
And the cars that wrecked were in
last
turn
year's-
3 too.
Well, the thing, what was
Here's one last.
Ryan?
Okay. I was going to say, doesn't this sound like last year's controversy at Talladega with Dale Jr. and Joey Logano?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say.
Yeah, exactly.
I was about to bring that up.
Actually, wrecked Turbo
And
Yeah, but that's what started all this
that
BS
was-
with the
Yeah,
caution.
the overtime. Yeah, I don't think the overtime. If you ask me, I think the overtime rule is only there to create more wow finishes.
Yes, he did.
Well, to be honest, the overtime line doesn't make much sense to me with its positioning because, more often than not, they're going to keep it together before they get to the exit of turn 2. When they get to the back straightaway, that's when the moves are made. So where the line's positioned, it's kind of a moot point.
Yeah.
My thought,
and that's when you-
I thought the overtime line should be in place on the white flag lap, not the lap before. Like,
Yeah.
you only go like a quarter of it.
How about we do the ARCA rules? They ensure a green flag finish, throw out cautions on the white flag left.
Yeah, Arca.
ARCA rules.
Okay.
Rules and ARCA breaks.
Bobby Gerhard, ARCA.
Arca break.
I mean, here's another thought I had too. I know that they say the reason we throw the caution flag is because there are wrecked race cars and that gives drivers the indication they need to start slowing down to get through the wreckage. I looked at the first wreck, the big one that took place in the Xfinity race yesterday. When the wreck took place, there wasn't a single driver that was on the brakes. They were full throttling, trying to get through the wreck and trying to find a way, get a way through the wreck. Nobody slowed down. So, come on, NASCAR. That's not going to help matters at all. They're not going to slow down.
Yeah, that is a false statement,
Be
NASCAR.
more consistent.
Well, if you look at it, Jeff Maple absolutely got clobbered. He flew in the air, so.
Yeah, and you think about it too. How much more likely is a wreck going to be to take out a slow-moving race car than a fast-moving race car? More than likely, the slow-moving race car is going to get hit. The odds are more in favor of it getting hit than a fast-moving race car that could be able to, get through it.
Unless you look back at Talladega one time when nearly half of the pack nearly wrecked because one slow car came out of the pits or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
LePage.
famous one. Kevin LePage, that's right.
Yep.
Kevin
Alright.
screwed up again.
Okay, so we've got ourselves the low downforce package. It ended up bringing about a great race, a great photo finish at the Daytona 500. We had a pretty decent race at Talladega. Now we're going to be under the lights at Daytona. Low downforce, cooler temperatures, probably more grip. Are we going to be seeing a more exciting Daytona night race than we've seen in the last couple of years, or are you seeing this one playing out almost similar to what we've seen with it being hard racing before? Then we have our freight train on the high side, and then we have hard racing at the end again.
I think
I can't remember the last time we had like a 4th of July Daytona race that wasn't like kind of like a wreck fest. That's what they've usually been the past several years. So
That is true.
So I don't expect anything different tonight. But what I hope is like what I want, I kind of want like a mix of like Daytona and Talladega this year. Basically, you kind of have like clean racing, but it's like good, not anything like chaotic or lackluster.
So basically, what you want is you want to have a Daytona 500 type race where they have to race the rain as well.
I'm gonna say I think we're gonna guarantee someone flipping tonight.
Well,
Probably. I second that.
I can guarantee someone's going to get to the mayor tonight.
Because here's the problem. With it being a night race, the air will be probably going to be more higher, and potentially if you get like a hit inside of it, you're going to get guaranteed a flip. So basically, I think because this is going to be a night race, I'm guaranteeing someone's going to land on their roof.
Well, I expect to get the bottom line the whole race.
Yeah, all the Gibbs cars are at the front.
Yeah.
I just hope that we get this race started at 7 o'clock and at midnight.
Well, the thing is, rain is in the way in the afternoon, so it might get delayed like an hour or two again.
Trust me, I'm keeping an eye on the weather. I'm keeping an eye on the weather all day.
Probably.
And before it's another Monday, or it's another day at the race, and then they run on Sunday.
Honestly, if they were to race, it'd probably be a lot better for them to race during the day, like they used to. Because imagine, back in the day, they even said that Jeff Burton even said back in the day they used to run at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning to avoid the weather. Because right now there is nothing near Daytona, but it's all moving from the west coast of Florida that way towards the east coast.
The Johnny Gardner here, the streak is still alive.
Yesterday everything was moving really fast. Today it's moving really slow.
I had some really bad internet problems for the past half hour, so that's why I'm joining late. But here's the good news. Doesn't matter. What matters is that the streak is still alive for Kentucky.
Woo.
Yep.
Alright, so we are going to now do maybe one of the harder weeks of making picks because Daytona, Talladega, they're wild card races. There's no telling what's going to happen, who's going to be taking the checkered flag, what the scenarios are going to be. But we're going to try and do our best and give you our best picks for your fantasy teams. So what we're going to be doing is, as usual, we're going to give you the driver that we think is going to win the race. Then we're going to give you the driver that you should stay away from, that we is going to maybe get caught up in the big one, maybe have some kind of problems, is not going to get you good points on your fantasy team. Then last but not least, we're going to be giving you our sleeper pick, the one you might not necessarily think is going to be a factor, but could end up getting you a top 10, top 5, maybe even a win at the end of the night. So let's start with Charles. Who have you got for Daytona?
Okay, so sometimes when we get to the 4th of July Daytona race, it's a great opportunity for redemption, and the driver that's going to get redemption is Matt Kenseth. He was just half a lap away from winning another Daytona 500 and lost it in the final 3 corners. But Matt Kenseth, knowing how great of a plate racer he is going to get to the front and stay there, and he will win at Daytona. Dark horse pick. This one I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I mean, I can't really give much of a good reason on why I'm picking this driver, but I'm going to go with Paul Menard. And as far as the driver to stay away from, Kurt Busch. First of all, he's never won on play track, though he has had his close moments. But I feel like that for some reason, when it comes down to Daytona, he's often. I feel like he often can get himself in the wrong position, and I still have not forgotten 2010, where basically he was like responsible for half of the drivers getting involved in the race.
All right. Interesting picks there. John has stepped aside from the mic for the moment, so we'll skip him for the moment. We'll come back to him. Johnny, who have you got for Daytona
Oh my
tonight?
gosh, Daytona! It's Daytona!
It's Daytona, baby!
It is.
Daytona!
Let's go away.
Hey.
Okay, wait.
Alright, let me discuss here.
Beep beep.
Last week, I pulled the real one out of the hat. Remember that one, Seth?
Yep.
I said that Stewart's going to win at Sonoma. What happened? You know what I'm going to do for Daytona? I'm going to go back-to-back again. I am going to go with Tony Stewart again. I'm going to smoke. Listen to me here. 2005 dominated the
That was 11 years.
led 151 of 160 laps. 606 dominated as well. 09 won it. 2012 won it. Could 2016 be his year? I think so. Dark horse, I'm going to go with Matt Benedetto. He's proved me well so far this year. I got to do it again. And hey, and I would stay away from the love of habanero peppers. I hate saying it, but I'm going to go with Brad Keselowski. Past performance last year. Got caught up with the Austin Dillon crash. It wasn't his fault, but he hasn't found the key to winning at Daytona yet. So,
All right, ready? All right, JT.
You know, given his success at Daytona over the years, he's won the spring opener, nationwide, the summer racing cup. I'm gonna go with Tony Stewart. Sleeper pick? I'd go with one of the underfunded teams. Like this, maybe out the window. Well, I'm going with McDowell.
ooh.
You took my dark horse pick. Doggone you.
And now, person to stay away from? Kurt Busch, due to his history on restrictor plates and all that. I mean, he has had his moment.
But JT, if you steal Seth Cole's dark horse, they'll have to steal yours.
I'm back. If you skip me, I'm back.
Oh, never mind.
No, it's okay. I got a couple of other backup picks. All right, we'll get to you in just a minute, Michael. John is back. So, John, your picks for Daytona.
He can't unmute himself.
Yeah, you're muted too. So.
Yeah, I just realized that. My picks are mainly like main people to watch. Like you are gonna look at the Hendrick cars to push yourselves to the front, and then you have the Daytona 5 cars. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, and Matt Kenseth, plus Martin Truex Jr. They're going to also work together once again in this Daytona race. And then you have the Penske trio of Brad Keselowski, Joe Logano, and Ryan Blaney, who are also going to work together. And those are the people you're going to have to watch pushing themselves to the front. And you just can't pick one out of them.
All right, ready? And driver to stay away from.
Drivers to stay away from. Well, it's going to be big go or go home race, but yes, I said the Hendrick 4 group, but stay away from Dale Jr. Yes, it's his race that he thinks he could win, but out of the recent bad luck that he's had over the past few times at the restrictor plate track, for instance, Talladega and Daytona, he just hasn't had the luck that he wanted to have. So don't go with Dale Jr. I think I did this for the Coke 600 with Jimmy Johnson.
Okay. Well, I know that Michael Norman's going to put a bounty on John Arndt's head now, but Michael, your picks.
Yeah. Junior is being a little more conservative this race, so I am going with Junior and always will at on super speedway tracks, regardless of what happens. My dark horse to pick one, if I had to really, really choose, I personally would say Tony Stewart, just because his luck on Daytona also hasn't been that great. So I think that I think that Tony Stewart's luck could turn around for this one, especially with other freaky ass stunts in Pinion. And then the driver to stay away from, who I know will probably be in the big one, besides Danica Patrick, because we all know that, if she doesn't start it, of course. I'm gonna say I want to say something, but I know it'll get me kicked from the call.
No, go ahead and say it.
I'll keep an eye out on Casey Mears. He's
Yeah.
had good runs at Daytona, but
Bad.
he's had good runs at Daytona. Don't get me wrong, but he could try a little too hard one day and end up wrecking everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Alright, Nathan, your picks.
Alright, my picks. Who I'm going for this time? Well, I kind of got it right with Dale Jr. last year, I believe. But I was in the call, but
Oh, I think we're losing Nathan. Oh, no, he's back.
I have blue screen now. Blue screen of death. So I wasn't in the call, but I did pick Dale Jr. to win last year, and I got it correct. But I'm not going with him this time. I'm going with Sweet Sweet Redemption, and I'm going with Martin Truex Jr. this time. Because he missed out on the Daytona 500 this year by inch, and I think this could be the time he gets redemption. My dark horse for this this night race in Daytona, I have to go with Chase Elliott. Sorry, but I'm a 24 fan. But I mean, I don't think Chase Elliott is up to the caliber that he's been hyped up to be by everyone, especially in the Xfinity and all that. So Chase Elliott's my dark horse for tonight. And driver to avoid, well, it'll probably be a little bit obvious because Michael's got number 3 on him. Matt has the hat with the number 3 on. Avoid Austin Dillon, the Space Cowboy.
Some people call me the Space Cowboy.
So that could be.
And I'm gonna get kicked out call lane night for that one.
No, you're not. All right, Daniel, your picks for Daytona.
Okay. I think you guys will be shocked about my person to win. You forgot one rule.
Bummer.
Stick with the Biff. I am going with Greg Biffle. A
boy.
I think Greg Biffle winning the pole. I think Greg Biffle has a chance to win this race. I am going bold.
Last time Biffle won at Daytona was 2003.
I think they have the equipment to do it.
Well, in Cup, if I remember correctly.
My driver to stay away from is Dale Jr. You mentioned about the last 2 finishes. Daytona crashed out of the 500, crashed out at Talladega. I think Dale Jr. may crash out at Daytona and go 3 for 3 and not finishing restrictor plates. As far as my dark horse is concerned, my wild card driver, I will be going for Matt DiBenedetto. I think Matt DiBenedetto can get a very good run at Daytona because you never know if a rookie or an underdog team can win. So anything can happen. Matt DiBenedetto is my dark horse.
Okay. All right, time to go to the Sultan of Statistics. Let's see what Stephen Paul III has for us.
Oh, I got the picks to win. I have how many gift? There's 5. I picked one of the 5 gift cards. They have been the best of the play tracks all year, except when they're flying in the air. But they've done really well this year. I definitely think maybe Truex the main guy to win. Every time Truex has run that fast push that Casey is just dominating. Look at Kansas, Texas, Charlotte. I think he ran at Phoenix. They weren't that great, but they were decent. So every time they run that Phoenix team, they're a threat to win. So definitely looked at him in the front. Kyle Busch, I'm not really sure how Busch is going to do if he doesn't cut the tire down. The dark horse to win, I will go with Landon Castle because Castle's been terrific at these big tracks. Always finishes top 20 when he's not in a wreck. And I think if he finally wins to see front row make the chase, it didn't take even 20 because they didn't have that top 30 rule. So finally, Landon Castle makes the chase. And I also go with Dale Jr. to stay away from expand the slot because Jr. has crashed out with his new low force and downforce package. He crashed at Daytona. He crashed at Talladega, spun out by himself under this new package, and he has a new car. He never ran before, so he has no experience with it. So I don't know how he will do. And he just hasn't been the same at the play tracks this year. And Hendrick doesn't have that domination. So Hendrick is definitely not at the peak where they were last year. So definitely stay away from Junior.
Alrighty. Okay, let's move to Joshua.
Let's see. My pick to win would probably be maybe Jimmy Johnson, because aside from when he wrecks, especially recently, he's had good finishes at Daytona. So. Let's see. My sleeper pick would probably be Trevor Bayne because after what I saw at Talladega, and at the fact that the Fords have a lot of speed, especially the Ross Fenway guys, I feel like Trevor Bayne could have. And for my driver to stay away from, I think Ryan Newman, because Ryan Newman doesn't have really any good notable runs at Talladega or Daytona for me.
50th Daytona 500.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
also,
but since then-
what, 4 years ago? No, not
Yeah.
4 years ago. That was
2008.
8 years ago.
2008, nearly a decade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
All right,
it's been
what's your
really,
pick?
it's been,
All right,
that's-
for my picks, I'm actually going to get on board the Dale Jr. train for one very important reason. Talladega was the resting place of Amelia. Amelia is gone. Amelia did not seem to handle well with the low downforce package because he wrecked it at Daytona in the 500, and then he wrecked it at Talladega. That was the finishing blow. I think with the fact that Amelia is gone, now Dale Earnhardt Jr. with a different setup, maybe it'll take better to the low downforce package. Also, we seem to be on a streak right now of drivers going to victory lane for the first time in 2016, going all the way back to the Coke 600. Coke 600, it was Truex. Pocono, it was Kurt Busch. Kansas, it was Joey Logano. And last week at Infineon, it was Tony Stewart. So now I think it's for another driver to get their first 2000.
Fail.
You said
Michigan.
Kansas, not Michigan, you fool!
Wait, what did I say?
You
It said
said
Kansas,
Kansas.
not, it was Michigan, not
Okay,
Kansas.
Michigan. Sorry, they look
Nice
all those
dirt.
kind of tracks look all alike to me. I get them, Chicagoland.
In the words of Gilbert Godfrey, you fool!
Logano won his first race of the year.
Regardless,
God.
okay, so you get the point still. Okay, so Truex, let me do it this way. I won't even say the tracks. Truex, Kurt Busch, Joey Logano, Tony Stewart, all getting their first wins of the season. I think the streak's going to continue. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been close to a win a number of times in the last few weeks. He had a great run at Sonoma. He ended up actually finishing out for a 12th place finish with a tire rub at Sonoma. The week before that, you ended up having him have a fairly decent run. Before that, you ended up having him have a runner-up finish to Kurt Busch. So I think that team is definitely ready to get to victory lane. And just like we say, Allmendinger is our main guy to watch when we go to Watkins Glen or Sonoma, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has to be the main guy when we go to Talladega or Daytona. So my pick is Dale Earnhardt Jr. For my driver to stay away from, I think practice kind of told me something. I think Kyle Busch should be the one you stay away from. He had 4 of the Joe Gibbs cars running together. Only one of them had a right rear tire go down, and that was Kyle Busch. He's now going to have to go to a backup car as well because of wrecking that primary car. I think Kyle Busch seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, especially when you're at Daytona. So Kyle Busch is the driver to stay away from. My dark horse, I'm surprised nobody went with this, but if Dale Jr. isn't the one to continue on drivers getting their first win of the season, another driver that's been pretty consistent as well is Jamie McMurray, and he's a former winner at this racetrack. I think Jamie McMurray, definitely with the consistency he's had, this is a great racetrack for him. I've tried looking for dark horse drivers that if they can get to the front, they can hold the lead. Chase Elliott, I think he can get to the front. I don't think he can hold the lead. Matt DiBenedetto, I think he can get to the front, but I don't think he can hold the lead. I don't think that they've got the experience of running up front to be able to throw the blocks necessary to hold on to a win. McMurray has been there, done that. I think McMurray is going to be the dark horse guy. I think you could maybe see him get his first win of 2016 tonight.
It only matters if you lose last lap.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the big thing when I look at these underdog drivers. I see drivers that have had good runs here, like Landon Castle, like Casey Mears. You could throw Trevor Bayne into the mix. David Reagan, maybe. He's been up front. He's been able to throw blocks, but I kind of would put him in that category as well. Paul Menard. How much of an opportunity have these drivers had of being up at the front and throwing blocks on drivers trying to take the lead from them? Not very often. So would they be able to pull it off if they have that scenario in front of them on the white flag lap? I'm not really sure they'd be able to pull it off.
I'm officially changing my vote to Jeff Gordon.
Hey, he finished sixth last year, so he can do it.
Jeff Gordon's retired.
Don Cole's opinion, I'm going with Jamie McMurray now because I think Chase Elliott's kind of stupid. So I'm agreeing with you, Seth.
Yeah, I mean,
Once.
I ended up, I don't know if anybody watched NASCAR.com's race preview of tonight's race. Chris Rice actually went with Chase Elliott to get his first win of the season tonight at Daytona. I just don't see that happening.
Who knows? It could, though.
I was looking here at a couple of drivers from the finish of last season. Steven, you mentioned Landon Castle. He finished 13th last year, but also David Reagan. He finished 12th place. I know that he's running for BK Racing, but we talked about Matt Benedetto being a contender whenever we go to restrict plate tracks. So, David Reagan, 23 car, could be a contender, too.
Anyone could be a contender.
Yes, indeed.
And by the way, we had that whole thing with Austin Dillon being up in the catch fence and everything. Maybe that's not such a bad thing in the white flag lap. I didn't realize he actually crossed the line in the catch fence in 7th place. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
No,
I didn't even realize he got a top 10. I thought the car didn't cross the start-finish line until after 20 cars had passed him.
When he got hit by Brad Keselowski.
Already before he got airborne.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was right at the line.
No, he crossed start finish.
He went airborne after he crossed the line.
Okay.
By the way, happy birthday to Richard Petty. He turned 79 today.
Wow.
Happy birthday!
Wow, I thought he was a lot older than
Hey,
that.
how cool would it be if Eric Almirola would be able to double down and win another Coca-Cola 400 on the King's birthday? That'd be so weird.
That would be awesome.
It would be Reigns Coca-Cola 400. If it's the same circumstances as the first time he won it, then I would say yes.
Hey, there's a chance for that too, because as Michael said, it's headed towards Daytona, so we could end up having another race shortened Coca-Cola 400.
Where's Almirola starting again? For tonight?
Who?
Almirola. Where's
Almirola's starting 14th.
Nah, I don't think that's good enough. If it was a little bit closer, I would have said yeah, maybe.
And interesting too, going to Joshua's point about how the Roush Fenway cars have found more speed. Biffle's starting first, Stenhouse is starting fourth, Trevor Bayne starting 13th. So
that's another one we never talked about, Stenhouse.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising too, because when you think about Daytona, you think about definitely the Hendrick cars. Joe Gibbs cars are sometimes up there. Austin Dillon usually qualifies well, but you don't really think very much about the Roush Fenway guys. And they've got all three of their cars starting in the top 13.
15 even.
Yeah, you usually don't think about them.
Yeah.
And then of course you got all the dummies kicking about and all that.
Wait, okay. I just realized that David Gillen qualified for this race, and I was thinking, who missed the race? Josh Wise did.
Oh, did he?
You got Gillen in there, so Landon Castle's got a teammate.
Is that all three furniture front row motorsports cars in the show?
Yes. Yeah, Busher, Gilliland, and Castle.
Oh, front row. Oh, all right.
That should be interesting.
We've got
It'll be quite interesting.
Reagan Smith is the only guy that didn't put a lap in. Did he wreck or something?
I think something in the engine, he said, went kaboom.
They never got out on track, I don't think.
He was
on
track.
track.
He was about doing this time lap.
He didn't complete a lap.
Just because I was going to about to ask, so why is Josh Wise not racing? Because Reagan Smith is basically didn't put a lap in, but...
Well, because Regan Smith's got a charter, I think it was Josh
Oh,
Wise,
right. Got
Josh Wise, David Gilliland,
What happened to Ryan
and
Blaney's charter? I thought they bought a charter from somebody.
who? Josh Wise
They
team?
never
No.
got a
No, Ryan Blaney.
Yeah. No, they haven't gotten
No,
one yet.
no, they had
No.
not.
Nope.
Same with Elliott. Same
Let me see if I can
with,
find
Chase
here on the
Elliott as well.
entry list. I
I
think
know,
it
they were
was,
talking. It was the first time they ever actually talked about Ryan Blaney having to make the field. I'm sitting there like, what? I thought he had a charter.
nope. He hasn't had a charter all season.
Huh.
Nope.
Just,
So this is going to be
It's
cool. I was
based-
just informed that I am heading out to my uncle's later to watch the race on the huge screen TV. Like on
But-
the
I'm gonna be
projector.
watching on a huge screen too.
No, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
the
be
three.
watching.
There were
I'm gonna
four,
be watching.
no, five drivers. Five drivers were non-chartered cars that had to race their way in. Ryan Blaney, Josh Wise, David Gillen, Reed Sorensen, and Cole Witt. And Wise was the one that didn't make it.
He was
Yeah.
he was
I think David Reagan made
Wait,
it.
I thought Chase Elliott didn't have one.
Chase
no,
Elliott
he's
has
got
one.
Oh,
Chase
Oh,
Elliott
so
was 24. Of course he has a freaking
Yeah, he's
charter.
got the 24 cars charter.
The reason why the 21 doesn't have a charter is because it hasn't been full time for the
Exactly.
past 3 seasons.
Yep. It's only been a part-time
But
Oh,
driver.
everyone was always
right,
so
got
like, no one ever said anything before when I watched qualifying. I never really heard him say, "Oh, it's a work we got to worry about."
But
21
here's the
making
interesting
field.
thing that I find is that the 55 team, they loaned their charter over to I think it was
Michael Annette?
Annette's
Scott.
team. Yeah, Annette's team, and yet Ryan Blaney's team didn't get in there first. No.
That's odd.
Well, actually,
Why
speaking of the chart,
doesn't that sound like kind of?
speaking of the chart thing, NASCAR actually came out with a new rule. I think to help drivers like Ryan Blaney. Basically, if a charter team makes the chase, they don't have to worry about DQing.
Really?
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
Blaney makes the chase, then he's guaranteed locked into the final 10 races of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is good because, like, of course, before then there was the possibility of Ryan Blaney making the top 4. Then say someone feels actually part of Homestead, Ryan Blaney doesn't make it, and so you have one of your top 4 missing.
Yeah. Oh, hi DJ.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty late to the party, boys. You know,
DJ Curtis has joined us here.
How's it doing?
Join the party.
Alright, so I was
Yeah, you
looking on J-Ski to see what there were for like top stories and stuff, and apparently they are going to be making an announcement either in September or October what the title change is going to be for the Cup
yeah.
Series. Xfinity is locked up through 2024. Camping World locked up for the trucks through 2022. They haven't made any hints or whatever as to what could be the sponsorship for the Cup Series heading into 2017. You guys got any thoughts on that?
I'm
NASCAR
gonna
Xfinity Cup
start this
Series.
off.
I think it's going to be the
I'm-
NASCAR Development Cup Series.
Yeah, man, let's do it. Let's do it.
Verizon Cup Series.
I'm thinking it's going to be like it's definitely going to be something car related, but I'm not sure what it will be. It could be Mobile One.
Microsoft.
On this day in 1964, we lost Fireball Roberts.
I think it might be probably another of like mobile.
Bring back
company.
Winston!
Oh my
Bring
goodness,
back
and Carson
Winston!
Goodness joined.
Like, it could be
Oh,
another
boy,
like
Carson.
mobile related company. That's what like my like prediction would be.
Well, I've kind of wondered, normally when you have a sponsor of the series, you don't have a sponsor on a race car. Like, we've had Winston, there really weren't any Winston cars around. You had Nextel, there weren't any Nextel-sponsored
23.
cars. Same for Sprint. I'm almost wondering if maybe DeWalt leaving Matt Kenseth at the end of the season, if DeWalt might jump in.
DeWalt isn't
You mean Dollar
no.
General? Dollar General's leaving.
Or Dollar General, yeah. I wonder if
Dollar General is leaving the sport for
It's a primary.
forever.
Are they leaving NASCAR permanently? Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got another one. I got a suggestion. What about Home Depot?
They left down in like 2014 though. Honestly.
I saw some rumor or it could be like the NASCAR Kroger Cup Series.
Yeah, we have like AJ Allmendinger or like have that
It's
sponsor
almost
for like
like
5 races to
series.
each. Because that Kroger's a main
wait.
sponsor on here.
There. What
I
about
think
the
it's still going to be Sprint because they've invested a lot of money into this.
It's not
over the last
Sprint.
few years.
Sprint has
They
deleted.
said they're not returning though. They've already confirmed
Oh, they
that.
did? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Yeah, Sprint is digging themselves a hole right now.
I wonder.
I was thinking maybe Verizon.
Here's just a thought. Here's a thought. You guys remember in Verizon where they had that guy that would always be, "Can you hear me now?" Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
he's
Yeah.
now a spokesperson for Sprint, and he's actually really been, saying a lot of stuff like, "I used to be the Verizon guy, and now I'm with Sprint and everything." What if, with Sprint leaving, what if Verizon steps in and takes over what used to be the Sprint Cup Series?
The NASCAR
Oh my
Verizon
God.
Cup Series.
I mean, I know that they're already doing IndyCar, but I mean,
Tune in to see who's going
I
to
mean,
win
if Verizon does
Verizon Cup
expand,
Series
then
championship.
that would be good for their business, possibly.
yeah.
Like, they could get more people to actually buy stuff for Verizon. I mean, that's what sponsorship's all about. They want to make you good go to that area. Like,
What about
no one.
Target?
So,
I don't think they'd want to leave.
no, I don't think they do.
Sorry.
But I'm
I'm
saying
sorry.
I think it should be Reese's, so that would be the NASCAR Reese's Cup Series.
These would all sound like off-brand league names. to
Coca-Cola.
me.
I know.
These all sound literally like an off-brand league.
You know what I think it should be?
Seth, everybody.
You know what I think it should be?
Coca-Cola for win.
Coca-Cola.
The Coca-Cola series. It's
No,
gonna
just-
be a thing.
We just need to be double mint. That's all we need. We just
Yep,
need a
it has
gum
to be
company to
double mint.
sponsor it.
The NASCAR Hershey's
sponsor.
Cookies and Cream.
And if Donald Trump becomes a driver, I quit.
You're gonna drive for Richard Childress Racing in a 33 car.
If John West Townley ever goes into the Sprint Cup series, I will eat my own underpants.
I can't even imagine him going to IndyCar. At first, I thought you were gonna say IndyCar. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's dead.
Hi, I'm the lone John West Townley
Maybe in
fan
like
in
Schmidt
existence.
Peterson or something.
Actually, speaking of John West Townley, does anyone want to talk about the Gateway fight?
Yeah,
That was like a last
no.
week.
Nah.
Maybe
That
the
dude
most
should be like a
pathetic
wrestler.
fight I've ever seen in my life.
No, I'm embarrassed.
Townley should be a wrestler, man. He
How
was
did-
like pulling a WWE. You can see him
Yeah,
smiling
yeah.
too when he was fighting.
How did they get JR to commentate on that? Because it was flipping boring.
Actually did get JR to commentate on
I
that.
liked the fight, even if it was bad. I liked it.
Well, here's what I thought. I mean, first off, Gallagher left his face open the whole time, and there was about 4 right crosses that Townley was supposed to supposedly have laid on him, and Gallagher didn't even have a bloody nose.
No, you see, here's the funny part. Why did Spencer Gallagher get in trouble when he didn't really do nothing? John West Townley started that, and Gallagher kind of just like really didn't do anything.
Yeah, I know.
Just got in for the
He
ride.
was trying hard not to get fined. Yeah, he still got fined for not doing anything.
I honestly thought that when Townley did the DDT takedown, I honestly thought that Gallagher's head had actually hit the pavement.
I think that's what a lot of us thought, honestly.
Gallagher's head hit the floor. Gallagher's head hit the floor.
I also kind of found it interesting too. We've seen so many times when drivers really want to get out of the car and mix it up. Those two took the longest time getting out of their trucks.
They waited for the officials to show up so they don't get fined for that part.
Oh.
Dude, TBT Brutal punch at whoever that was involved in the wreck with him and all that at Richmond.
What was that?
Punch?
There was this incident at Richmond in 2001 back at when the Xfinity series was named the Busch
was it
series.
Biffle and Soda? Was it Biffle and Soda or something?
I mean, Kenseth and Solder. I thought it was Kenseth
Let me
and Solder.
look here. I'm
I
gonna
thought
look
it
it
was
up.
Harvick and Biffle.
That's 02, and that was... I think it was 02. Yeah, it was either 02.
Yeah, that was 02 at Bristol.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yep. It was actually 2000 and wait a minute, hang on, looking at it right now.
There's a lot of
2001
Richmond
NASCAR
fights.
Busch Series,
During the race, Greg
That's the
Biffle.
one.
and it was Biffle and Jay Sauter.
Oh,
Hey, I got it
okay, now I
right.
remember that wreck now. The 43 and the 60. That's what
Yeah,
I...
I'm trying to
Basically,
find out where it was even at.
That's that wreck where Biffle basically, like, freaking punched him inside the window.
Weren't they teammates? or something?
No, they weren't.
No.
Not that I
Because
know of.
because I've sworn that the 60 and the 43's
The 43 was a Chevy, I think. But
Yeah, the fourth year was a Chevrolet.
Was it?
Yep.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hang on.
I think just the number style was very similar. That's why it's often a misconception.
Boom! Maybe.
Boom! My favorite thing about that fight between the you saw was not like the actual fight, but then like NASCAR remixed it.
It's
boom.
It's the team that's run with Michael Shank Racing. Crap, I can't say the name. Damn it. I know what it says, but I just can't say it right.
Don't blame you.
Damn it. Mm-hmm.
And I just noticed too, they have an article of what we'd already talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks about the fact that there's Furniture Row is still looking for Truex to stay in the 78, and that they're still thinking about putting together that second team, which I still honestly think is going to be Eric Jones.
I mean, I think Truex will stay in the 78. I think he's pretty comfortable where he is. The 78 has a lot of speed, too, like last year and this year. So I think he'll stay, definitely. I think it's just his pit crew just needs more improvement. That's about it.
Seth.
What's that?
I think NASCAR should do what F1 did in 2010 by adding like new teams in, like expand a little bit. So like bringing like teams from like Xfinity or the Camping World Series over to the Sprint Cup Series.
The only problem with that, and you know, we've talked about that too, with why is there so little room up in the Sprint Cup Series now? Obviously, the charter system's one reason, but the other reason is funding and finding sponsorship.
Exactly.
Well, like Donald Trump, just giving them a loan of £1 million. $1 million.
You want to loan that to them so that can happen?
Are we hoping that Donald Trump weighs £1 million?
No.
Ego does.
Whoa! Wait a minute. Okay,
Wait.
just hang on. The Wall announced expanded partnership with Joe Gibbs Racing. Okay. No. Just for this season. They're gonna sponsor them for Chicago, Dover, Kansas, and Homestead. 4 more races this season.
And they're going to, and they'll be a majority sponsor in 2017 too, apparently.
Yeah, it's a primary for 2017.
All right.
Yeah.
By the way, I like his Flex Volt car for tonight.
It's a good-looking car. There's a lot of good-looking schemes for the Coke 0400. There's some good ones. I always love the NASCAR NRA cars that Dylan has. Those are like one of my favorite schemes to look at.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
I do want to go back to Daytona. One thing that I've noticed is that technically the restrictor plate package for Daytona and Talladega actually is the same package that they've used since 2014.
Really?
Yep, they haven't changed it.
Yeah, I actually wanted to say the same thing too. It's not really exactly a low downforce package.
It's just the same package since 2014.
So was it super speedways where they only ran low downforce package for the last few years then?
Well, I mean, I guess you could call it a low downforce package because the spoilers are they are short, like they are now on every other track.
Oh my goodness, that Ryan Newman scheme! I didn't even know he was being sponsored.
You didn't know Florida Lottery was.
No, that car is amazing.
What?
Florida Lottery sponsoring cars is lit.
What is it?
Florida Lottery's gonna sponsor Newman.
I really love the Newman one from this
Oh
year.
my god, that is amazing.
I think one of my favorite I know unrelated to this, but my favorite Newman scheme from this year is the Wick scheme. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Scheme.
I don't know why, but I look at that and I get flashbacks to when he drove the 39 car.
Yeah, I can see that.
My favorite one is the one that looks like the livery they use for the endurance sports car series they have.
Oh.
The wheeling
The one with the the wheeling one, yeah. Come on, I like basics. It's not my fault.
That Granger was another one too. I think same thing, the delivery, but
Yeah, it was.
because it had that pattern where you like, because I have a Granger box at home, so it's like I know the exact pattern. So it's like,
Granger.
Got any other top stories to touch on before we end off this episode? I'm trying to look and see if I can find
I'm
them.
wishing Jeff Gordon could commentate NBC too. I'm just kidding.
No, probably not. I wonder if Jeff Gordon, do you think Jeff Gordon's still going to be at the racetrack, or do you think he's kind of done now?
NBC needs to hire Tony Stewart when he retires.
Now, now
leaked it
Jeff
more.
Gordon and Darrell Waltrip, the two of them can cool off. They're not going to be in the same booth with each other anymore.
I think Darrell Waltrip should be out. Jeff Gordon's just starting.
Did you guys know about
I
that?
think
The
Gordon's
whole thing
fine.
about how Jeff Gordon and Darrell Waltrip, they said they didn't like commentating with each other.
I think,
Yeah, I know. I'm aware of that. I mean,
I think
let's just not against each other.
I think that they should take Darrell Waltrip out of the booth, put him with like Mike, put him with his brother in the hotel, and then make it Mike Joy, Jeff Gordon, and another crew chief besides Larry Mack, where he's not. Larry Mack was okay.
I like Larry Mack
another
though.
crew chief or something.
I think a good choice for future crew chief when he retires from being a crew chief is Chad Canals. He already works.
Oh my God! Can you imagine Chad Canals if he retired? If Jimmy Johnson still raced, but they wanted Chad Canals for the booth and he accepted. Can you imagine the cheering that freaking Chad Canals would do for Jimmy Johnson alone?
Lol.
Mm.
There
No,
goes
Chad,
Gordon
Chad
already
and
does
Jimmy are
that.
like one bond as like.
I mean,
Chad
Jeff Gordon already does that. They've already said that
What about
that Jeff Gordon appears to be pretty biased with the Hendrick cars in his commentary.
There is. You can notice that. Yeah, he always does talk about these
Chad
cars.
Canals. There goes that 48 to the lead, man. That 48 is gonna be strong today. I don't know if these guys are gonna have anything for that 48 car.
He does also talk a lot about. I noticed this throughout the Fox booth that he does talk a lot about picking Kyle Larson to win races. I don't know if that's me or not. And then he never
I've
wins.
noticed
It's
that.
like, I'm a Kyle Larson fan.
Kyle
so-
Larson's a fun driver to watch, which is
He
true.
is. I do. I wish he could win a race this year.
Rick actually wanted Larson on if I remember correctly.
So I've also noticed that Casey Kane has been getting better as the season has progressed. I don't know if you guys noticed that as well, because he had a top 10 Sonoma, and that's kind of hard for him to get.
Yeah.
Like the shark car. Actually, that was a good scheme, but he's been getting top 10s. I think he's been pretty quiet throughout most of the season. Like, not many commentators talk too much about him. He's just kind of been in a bit of the shadows compared to like the other drivers around.
And we end up with a derp.
Alright, so that's probably going to end off this week's episode of NASCAR Talk. I want to thank everybody that joined us. I think it's the most people we've had in a NASCAR Talk episode for a long time.
Daytona.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait for someone to do a blowover. And
We're gonna have Michael go out and do a rain dance to try and keep the rain over near Apopka, Florida, instead of over at
Are we
Daytona.
gonna actually watch him do a rain dance?
The rain dance.
I don't know.
I want to see
If
it.
he does do a rain dance, I want him to upload it to YouTube. but,
Oh God.
but anyway, want to thank Charles Belding, John Arndt, JT Bryant, Michael Norm, Nathan Hudson, BJ Curtis, Stephen Park. Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it, bud. I don't even know where I was muted at. So and DJ Curtis, Stephen Paul III, and Joshua Sakuli for sticking it out for this episode. Also, Daniel Voiles, Johnny Gardner. We had somebody else was here, and oh yeah, Matt McIntyre. Thank them for joining as well. We will hopefully have a NASCAR talk next week. I am letting you guys know right now. There are 3 weeks in August where I am going to be having to work Saturday auctions. So I don't know if we're going to be able to have NASCAR talk on Saturdays or not.
Or
We may end up
Spaceball
having
Rise.
to have them maybe on a Friday morning or something that weekend. I'll let you guys know. But just letting you know that ahead of time that there are 3 Saturdays I'm going to have to work here in August. So,
Right.
yeah. So anyway,
That
once
means
again,
you're
thanks
fired.
everybody for tuning in. What?
That means you're fired.
Yes,
Please
apparently I am. Well,
Three Saturdays.
Prepay.
no. So, anyway, thank you all for tuning in for this.
Payback.
I will get the last laugh.
Oh boy.
Alright, so anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and hope to see you guys next week for Nascar Talk. Till then, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Do
Bye,
whatever you
everybody. I
with
hope you
disaster.
guys have a good day. Not really. Let's go racing at Daytona. Yeah.
Yeah.
Suck a dick.